The holographic projection shimmered on Elara Rane's desk, displaying the angular, elegant script of the Vorlag Concordat. It was an urgent summons, bypassing all conventional protocols, requesting her immediate presence at the Conclave of Aethelgard. Elara, humanity's ambassador to the wider galaxy, ran a hand through her short, practical hair, a frown creasing her brow. The Conclave was an ancient neutral ground, reserved for crises of galactic proportion, usually involving the Vash'kar, ascendancy, or the Celestine Collective, but rarely both, and never, ever, involving humanity. Humans were the galactic newcomers, barely 2 centuries past their first interstellar jump, their diplomatic efforts largely seen by established powers. As well-meaning but naive, their compassion was often mistaken for weakness, their directness for impotence, and their optimism for a fundamental misunderstanding of galactic realpolitik. The message elaborated, a critical territorial dispute had erupted between the militaristic, honor-bound Vash'kar and the sprawling, technologically advanced Celestine Collective. The Vorlag, renowned for their cold logic and ancient wisdom, had failed to mediate. Humanity was being summoned not as a solution, Elara suspected, but as a convenient, neutral scapegoat if things went truly sideways. Ambassador Rane. A calm, resonant voice broke her thoughts. Commander Jaxen Korr, head of her security detail, stood by the doorway, his posture relaxed, yet alert. His scarred face held a perpetual air of pragmatic vigilance. The diplomacy's edge is ready for immediate departure. Your team awaits. Elara met his gaze, a glint of determination in her eyes. Thank you, Commander. Inform the crew. This isn't just a summons. It's an opportunity. The galaxy thinks us amateurs. It's time to remind them what a truly human approach to diplomacy looks like. Jaxen's lips, usually set in a firm line, twitched almost imperceptibly. He knew Elara's unconventional methods often bordered on reckless, but they also frequently yielded unexpected results. Understood, Ambassador. Let's go shake some galactic trees. Within hours, the diplomacy's edge, a sleek but unarmed human, diplomatic cruiser, detached from its orbital dock and surged into hyperspace. Elara stood on the bridge looking out at the swirling colors of the jump lane. This wasn't about military might or economic leverage. This was about something far more subtle and far more human. Empathy, adaptability, and the sheer audacity to believe in a better way. The galaxy was about to receive a diplomatic shockwave. The conclave of Aethelgard hung in the void like a celestial blossom, its crystalline spires reaching towards a distant, benevolent star. Within its central chamber, delegates from across the quadrant gathered, their forms and customs a dizzying tapestry of galactic civilization. But the air was thick with tension, not cultural exchange. Elara Rane, flanked by Commander Korr and her small retinue, stepped onto the pristine durasteel floor. Instantly, she felt the weight of alien gazes. The Vorlag Concordat representatives, tall and austere, their metallic carapaces shimmering with internal light, stood impassively. Adjacent were the Vash'kar, their chitinous armor gleaming, their multi-jointed limbs twitching with barely suppressed aggression. Across the chamber, the Celestine Collective's delegates, their cybernetic forms a blend of organic and synthetic, moved with a fluid, almost disquieting grace, their optical sensors sweeping across the room. The primary Vorlag mediator, Axiom Prime Jalora, a being of pure logic and ancient lineage, extended a thin, articulated hand. Ambassador Rane, your presence is noted. We commenced proceedings. Cycles ago, the situation has proven intractable. Jalora's voice was flat, devoid of inflection, conveying not welcome but a statement of fact. Elara offered a warm, genuine smile, a gesture largely lost on the Vorlag. Axiom Prime, we came, as swiftly as possible. Perhaps a fresh perspective, however nascent, might prove useful. A snort, like air rushing through a windpipe, came from the Vash'kar delegation. Warlord Gritak, a hulking brute of a Vash'kar with an array of battle scars, turned his segmented head. Humanity? You are known for your emotional volatility, not your strategic insight. This is a matter of honor and resource, not sentiment. From the Celestine side, a series of rapid, high-frequency clicks and whirs emanated from a representative. Indeed, our predictive algorithms assign a 0.003% chance of human mediation success. Your diplomatic history is limited. Elara's smile didn't falter, though Korr's hand unconsciously drifted to his sidearm. The dismissiveness was palpable, a wall built from millennia of rigid protocols and alien pragmatism. The core issue, as presented, was the Solara Nexus, a newly discovered star system rich in rare energistic minerals. Both the Vash'kar and Celestine claimed it based on conflicting interpretations of ancient territorial treaties and their own, often brutal expansionist doctrines. The Vash'kar ascendancy has clear historical claim to the sector. Gratak boomed, his voice echoing in the chamber. The resources within the Solara Nexus are vital to our continued fleet expansion. We will not yield. Our data-driven analysis indicates Celestine exploration and survey vessels were present first, the Celestine delegate countered, its voice a synthesized monotone. The Nexus's unique energy signature aligns with our technological needs. To concede is illogical and detrimental to the collective's growth. Jalora's metallic fingers twitched. Each claim is internally consistent, yet externally irreconcilable. Our logical parameters suggest only one outcome: conflict. Elara took a deep breath. She observed the rigid postures, the unyielding rhetoric, the deep-seated cultural differences. They weren't just arguing over territory, they were arguing from fundamentally different worldviews. She realized trying to find a compromise within their existing frameworks was futile. It was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, when the solution might be to find a whole new shape. As the delegates continued their deadlock, Elara turned to Korr. "They're too focused on what they can take," she whispered, her eyes alight with a new idea. "They need to see what they could discover." Together, the conclave sessions dragged on, a monotonous cycle of accusations, counter-arguments, and statistical projections. The Vash'kar and Celestine delegations repeated their intractable claims with unyielding resolve, their positions hardening with each passing cycle. The Vorlag mediators, for all their logical processing, could only confirm the statistical certainty of impending conflict. "The impasse persists," Axiom Prime Jalora stated, its metallic voice echoing in the chamber, a note of weariness, almost, in its otherwise emotionless tone. All parameters indicate that unless one party yields, a state of open hostilities is unavoidable. A low rumble of agreement or perhaps resignation spread through the various delegations. This was the expected outcome. War. Then, Elara Rane stepped forward, her calm presence an anomaly amidst the rising tension. All eyes, though many filled with barely concealed amusement, turned to her. "Respected delegates," Elara began, her voice clear and carrying, though lacking the booming resonance of the Vash'kar or the synthesized authority of the Celestine. "We have observed the logical yet ultimately destructive progression of these negotiations. Perhaps instead of asking who the Solara Nexus belongs to, we should first ask, what is the Solara Nexus?" Warlord Gratak emitted another derisive snort. "It is a system rich in minerals, human, a resource to be claimed by the strong. And a unique energy signature optimal for our collective's needs," added the Celestine delegate. "Its properties have been catalogued and assessed." Elara smiled gently. "Catalogued, yes. But truly understood? Has either side fully explored the system's every facet, every moon, every planetary anomaly beyond its raw resource potential? With all due respect, your focus has been on extraction, not comprehensive discovery." She paused, letting her words hang in the air. Then she unveiled her proposal, one that was both audacious and deceptively simple. Humanity proposes a joint scientific expedition to the Solara Nexus. A small, unarmed, and neutral team, led by us but with observers from all three major powers present. This expedition would not be about staking claims but about pure, unbiased scientific inquiry. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Joint, scientific, neutral. The very words were anathema to the traditional power plays of galactic diplomacy. Absurd! Gertak roared. While we are engaged in frivolous inquiry, the Celestine will surely send covert forces. Our algorithms confirm your intent to militarize any discovery, the Celestine retorted, their sensors flashing. No armed forces, Elara interjected, holding up a hand. A strictly scientific mission. No territorial demarcation until after the expedition reports its full findings. Consider it a pause in hostilities, a chance to gather more data, to discover the unquantifiable value that lies beyond mere resources. She looked at the Vorlag. Axiom Prime, would not a more complete dataset lead to a more logical resolution? Jalora's internal processing unit's word. The proposal was highly unconventional, illogical in its directness, yet it did offer a path away from immediate conflict and the promise of new data. The Vorlag respected data above all else. Commander Korr, standing silently behind Elara, projected a subtle data stream to Jalora's console. A brief, factual report on humanity's scientific vessel capabilities, their strict adherence to unarmed exploration protocols, and their unprecedented success rate in xenobiological and geological surveys. It was a quiet demonstration of competence, starkly contrasting with the public perception of human naivety. The Vash'kar and Celestine delegates were still reeling, debating, and ridiculing. But Jalora, after a moment of intense contemplation, spoke. Ambassador Rane's proposal is unorthodox, but it presents a novel pathway to acquire additional information. A temporary cessation of hostile posturing pending this joint inquiry could be logically beneficial. It delays conflict without capitulation. The seed was planted. Elara knew it was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but she had offered the galaxy a chance to look beyond the immediate prize and towards the unknown. And in the unknown, humanity often found its greatest strength. The Conclave's reluctant agreement to Elara's proposal felt less like a diplomatic triumph and more like a barely contained explosion waiting to happen. The Vash'kar and Celestine only conceded under the immense logical pressure from the Vorlag and the unspoken understanding that Elara's plan was their last, tenuous thread from an all-out war. The terms were strict. A single human-led research vessel, the Cosmic Beacon, would enter the Solara Nexus. A single Vorlag observer, Axiom Prime Jalora itself, would accompany them. No Vash'kar or Celestine military presence within 1,000 light seconds. No armed forces, Elara reiterated to Commander Korr as they boarded the Cosmic Beacon. Not even a scout ship. We are entirely dependent on their restraint and our data. Are your security protocols sufficient? Jaxen Korr patted the sidearm holstered at his hip. Ambassador, my team can manage an internal threat. As for external, we trust in your silver tongue and the Vorlag's logic. If they break protocol, it's a declaration of war anyway. His words were grim, but his eyes held a glimmer of respect for her audacity. The Cosmic Beacon, a smaller, highly specialized science vessel, sliced through the void towards the disputed system. Inside, the human science team, led by the brilliant but socially awkward xenobiologist Dr. Aris Vallen, buzzed with suppressed excitement. He'd spent decades cataloging fungal growths on desolate asteroids. A potentially pristine, unexplored system was a dream. Sensors picking up significant energy fluctuations from the third moon, designated Solara Prime, Dr. Vallen reported, his glasses slipping down his nose as he peered at his console. Highly anomalous, not reflective of known mineral deposits, consistent with biological activity yet highly unusual. Upon arrival at Solara Prime, the Cosmic Beacon's advanced scanners revealed something truly astonishing. The moon's surface was not barren rock, but a vast, sprawling network of intricate, glowing crystalline formations. They pulsed with a soft internal light, shifting colors in mesmerizing patterns. Amazing, Aris Vallen whispered, his face pressed to the viewport. It's alive. A collective, sentient, crystalline life form. They are absorbing the system's unique energy signature and resonating with it. They are the source of the anomalous readings. He ran a scan. They communicate through light and vibrational frequencies. They are a nascent consciousness ambassador, young, but undoubtedly sentient. Elara stood beside Jalora, who had maintained a stony silence throughout the journey. Now the Axiom Prime's internal lights flickered with unusual intensity. Sentient lifeform, uncatalogued, unique energy signature. This complicates resource acquisition parameters. Commander Korr observed the Lumina through the viewport, a flicker of something akin to awe in his eyes. He'd seen plenty of lifeforms, but nothing like this. He noted the delicacy of their movements, the almost poetic way they absorbed and re-emitted light. "We must proceed with extreme caution," Elara instructed her team. "No invasive procedures, no direct contact without their clear consent. Dr. Vallen, your priority is to establish a non-invasive communication channel. This isn't a resource to be exploited. It's a life form to be understood." Dr. Vallen nodded vigorously, already immersed in his work. He began broadcasting a series of gentle, harmonic light and frequency patterns, hoping to elicit a response. After a tense period of waiting, a complex, swirling pattern of light pulsed back from the Lumina. A delicate, curious response. Jalora's sensors whirred. The human approach is inefficient for immediate resource procurement. Yet, the ethical parameters are intriguing. The data on this Lumina is unprecedented. Elara simply watched the interaction, a quiet satisfaction settling in her heart. This wasn't about winning a negotiation. It was about defining what it meant to discover and to protect. She knew this single ethical decision, made in the heart of a war zone, had the potential to create a far greater impact than any treaty. It was the first ripple of a diplomatic shockwave. News travels fast, even across the vast distances of galactic space, especially when it concerns a potential war zone. The cosmic beacon's discovery of the Lumina, and more importantly, humanity's explicitly ethical approach to a nascent sentient life form, leaked from the Conclave of Aethelgard. It was an unauthorized transmission, possibly a disgruntled Vash'kar or an inquisitive Celestine wanting to stir the pot, but its impact was undeniable. The immediate reaction was a galactic cacophony of shock and debate. For the Vash'kar ascendancy, the revelation of the Lumina posed a profound ethical dilemma. Their warrior code, while brutal, possessed an underlying ancient reverence for life, particularly unique or powerful life. To simply obliterate a sentient crystalline entity for minerals felt dishonorable, not a worthy challenge. Whispers of dissent rippled through their ranks, reaching even Warlord Gritak. His internal honor circuits were, for the first time, not aligning with a purely territorial claim. For the Celestine Collective, the news sent their highly optimized ethical algorithms into a chaotic spin. Their pursuit of knowledge and advanced consciousness was a core tenet. The Lumina, a nascent form of consciousness, presented an unprecedented opportunity for study, for understanding. The idea of destroying such a unique entity for mere resources was deemed illogical by a growing number of their sub-directives. Pressure mounted from their scientific and philosophical factions. On the cosmic beacon, the once skeptical Axiom Prime Jalora had become Elara's staunchest, if purely logical, ally. "Ambassador Rane," Jalora stated, its internal lights pulsing with data. "The galactic response to the Lumina is unforeseen. Your ethical protocols have generated a positive public sentiment trend of 78.4% amongst neutral species, and significant internal debate within the Vash'kar and Celestine domains. The logical efficacy of your approach is now undeniable." Elara, sensing the shift, wasted no time. Back on the Conclave comms, she addressed the now visibly agitated Vash'kar and Celestine delegates. "Respected delegates, the Solara Nexus is not merely a resource. It is a cradle of nascent life, a unique galactic treasure. To exploit it for territorial gain would be an act of profound short-sightedness and an ethical failure for all of us." Warlord Gritak shifted uneasily. "Human, your sentimentality is perplexing, but the Lumina, If they are truly aware, to simply crush them for minerals is not the path of honor for the Vash'kar. His voice, though still gruff, lacked its usual belligerence. The Celestine delegate, its optical sensors swirling, chimed in. Our core programming dictates the preservation of valuable data. The Lumina represent an unparalleled data set on emergent consciousness. To destroy them would be an unacceptable loss of knowledge. Commander Korr, observing the proceedings, noted the subtle yet powerful shifts in their language. They weren't speaking of treaties or military might anymore. They were speaking of honor, of knowledge, of ethics. Elara had skillfully changed the narrative. He also discreetly increased security around the cosmic beacon, knowing that while the majority might be swayed, there would always be extremist factions who prioritized raw power over a new galactic morality. The diplomatic shockwave Elara had unleashed was rippling across the galaxy. Humanity, once dismissed, was now forcing the most powerful species to confront their own ingrained biases and ethical shortcomings. The conflict over the Solara Nexus was no longer just a territorial squabble. It had become a test of galactic morality, a test humanity surprisingly seemed uniquely equipped to pass. The atmosphere in the conclave of Aethelgard was no longer dominated by simmering hostility, but by an uneasy, yet undeniable shift. The public outcry and the internal ethical turmoil within the Vash'kar and Celestine factions had forced their delegations back to the negotiating table, their rigid claims softened by the shocking revelation of the Lumina. The Lumina present, a variable of unprecedented ethical weight, Axiom Prime Jalora stated, its voice now tinged with a distinct, almost proud, logical certainty. The data clearly indicates that any invasive resource extraction would irrevocably damage their nascent sentience and future development. Therefore, the original claims are rendered invalid under current galactic ethical guidelines. Elara Rane seized the moment. She had spent cycles analyzing the cultural nuances, the deep-seated values that truly motivated the Vash'kar and Celestine, beyond their outward displays of aggression and cold logic. She knew their core tenets, their deep-seated beliefs, and she would use them to forge a peace unlike any seen before. The Solara Nexus, then, Elara proposed, her voice resonating with quiet conviction, is not a prize to be won, but a trust to be protected. Humanity proposes a new Solara covenant. Warlord Gurtak raised a multi-jointed hand. A covenant? Not a treaty of division? Precisely, Elara affirmed. The Solara Nexus system, including Solara Prime and its unique Lumina, becomes a jointly stewarded galactic sanctuary. It will be overseen by a neutral, pan-galactic scientific council dedicated to the study and protection of the Lumina, with humanity offering its expertise in xenobiology and ethical development. The Celestine delegate whirred, its optical sensors focusing intently on Elara. And the resources, the energy signature for our collective's needs? Limited, non-invasive resource extraction would be permitted, Elara explained, but only under strict supervision by the Scientific Council, ensuring no harm comes to the Lumina. All resources extracted would be shared equitably amongst signatory species, not just the Vash'kar or Celestine, but for the benefit of the galactic community. This fosters cooperation, not competition. She paused, then addressed the Vash'kar. Consider it a challenge, Warlord Gurtak. Not a challenge of conquest, but a challenge of enlightened stewardship. A greater honor, perhaps, than mere victory. Gurtak grunted, a sound that might have been approval or deep contemplation. A challenge. Of stewardship, this concept, it holds a certain weight. The Celestine delegates' internal processors seem to hum faster. A pan-galactic scientific council, access to unique data, equitable resource distribution. These parameters satisfy our logical mandates for growth and knowledge acquisition without unnecessary conflict. Elara, with the quiet but unwavering support of Jalora, meticulously crafted the covenant, integrating safeguards and appealing to their core values. Commander Korr remained vigilant, his presence a silent reminder that while diplomacy was Elara's weapon, humanity was capable of defending its principles. He watched the faces of the alien delegates, Seeing the grudging acceptance, the dawning realization that Elara wasn't just offering a compromise, but a new paradigm. The negotiations stretched for cycles, filled with complex legalities and cultural sensitivities. But slowly, painstakingly, the Solara Covenant took shape. It was a document born not of conquest but of conscience, ushered into being by a species initially dismissed as a naive newcomer. The potential for war began to recede, replaced by the nascent possibility of a shared future. The signing of the Solara Covenant at the Conclave of Aethelgard was, by all accounts, a seismic event in galactic diplomacy. Warlord Grutak, though still gruff, affixed his sigil with a surprisingly steady hand. The Celestine delegate, its form, humming with what could only be interpreted as satisfaction, added its complex digital signature. Axiom Prime Jalora, its internal lights glowing with quiet approval, served as a witness, its logical analysis having been the key to unlocking this unprecedented agreement. Elara Rane, outwardly serene, felt the profound weight of the moment. Humanity, the relative newcomers, had not just averted a war. They had fundamentally reshaped galactic law regarding nascent sentience and shared stewardship. The Lumina of the Solara Nexus would now flourish under the protection of a pan-galactic scientific council, with humanity playing a leading ethical role. As the conclave dissolved, the ripple effect began. News of the Solara Covenant spread like wildfire, carried by every hyperlane and comnet. The Vash'kar, initially grumbling about the loss of territory, found their public image enhanced by their honorable decision to protect a unique lifeform. The Celestine gained unprecedented access to the Lumina's emergent consciousness, a data goldmine beyond any mere mineral deposit. Ambassador, Commander Korr stated, a rare hint of a smile playing on his lips. Our comms are overflowing. Request for human mediation, for human ethical consultation. It's unprecedented. They don't just see us as curious now. They see us as a moral force. Elara looked out at the vastness of space, the conclave's spires receding behind them as the diplomacy's edge prepared for departure. We simply reminded them that there's more to galactic interaction than power and profit, Jaxen. That compassion and ethical responsibility can sometimes be the greatest leverage of all. Dr. Aris Vallen, his xenobiological team already preparing for the first Joint Scientific Council, practically vibrated with excitement. The Lumina are already responding to our deeper harmonic broadcasts, Ambassador. Their development is accelerating. Imagine the knowledge they will unlock. The Solara Covenant was more than just a treaty. It was a testament to humanity's unique approach to diplomacy. They hadn't intimidated, manipulated, or outmaneuvered. They had listened, understood, and offered a new way forward, one built on shared responsibility and a profound respect for life. Humanity was no longer just an inhabitant of the galaxy. They were becoming a guiding principle. The diplomatic shockwave had transformed a potential war into a new era of cooperation. The galaxy had learned a vital lesson from its newest, most unconventional, and perhaps most humane member. And for Elara Rane, it was just the beginning. Humanity had found its unexpected place, not at the forefront of conquest but at the heart of compassion and ethical leadership.